Good morning, folks. This is Corey Babka from the Marks Group. Just sitting here this morning, ready to give our monthly tips and tricks for Salesforce, Salesforce.com. These actually, as you know, as most of you know, as you watch these, are related to our blog posts from the previous month. So every month, the Marks Group at marksgroup.net, marksgroup.net, we are putting up 3 tips for every one of our products. And 3 to 4 weeks later, last Tuesday of every month, we're going to do a video, a webinar like we're doing right now, to go through those 3 tips and walk you through. So please always check back, check early, check often. We've got a couple things here, we're going to go over today. And like I said, within the next couple days, I'm going to be posting the newest tips, and those will be the tips for July 2018. So welcome, thanks for watching, and without further ado. So first thing that we have to go over, we've actually got one here that I called Fun with Charts. Okay, it's actually everything that we're doing today is actually Lightning Edition related. I kind of go back and forth between Lightning and Classic. That's a whole nother conversation and discussion about which one I like better. But the thing here is I've kind of realized that I need to start doing Lightning Edition more often. So I'm trying here and there, trying constantly to do our stuff. But today what we're going to do is work with charts. So last month what I did was I actually added a chart, one of these charts to my homepage, right? These 2 charts. I used to have recent items, things like that. But what I did was I added these 2 charts to the system. What I'm going to do here today is actually monkey around with them a little bit and go from here. So what we're going to do, if I look at my chart here, hold on, what I've got, I'll actually, excuse me, there's a lot more that I can do with the chart, right? So even though I've got this here, I can actually say view the report, etc., if I want to see it. Here's my report, okay? So if I change this here, I believe it changes on the home page. We'll mess with that in a second to find out. But what happens is if I look at my report, which this is what it's based on, I've got my events, tasks by day, my grouping. The gear button right here is what allows me to change it around, okay? So you've got this pop-up right here that allows me to say, oh, there it is. I can also do more of a stacked if I want to do it this way, based on event and task by day. Maybe I want to do that. I can do a stacked this way instead, right? You can even do your line charts depending on what you're doing to show. And a lot of people like this type of thing because we do this with forecasts and such. Here's your donut. Never big on this one. Here's my funnel. Obviously, that's a very different thing. It's more of a dollar amount. And then we've also got our points in time. I'm going to go back to here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it as a stacked this way and just save it, okay? And by doing so, I'll actually make those changes. Now, there are other things that we can do. I can change the chart title if I want. I can say past 7 days activities. And what the big difference between Lightning and Classic is that I'm actually seeing these changes right here, okay? I could say stacked by event type if I want, something like that, or I can get rid of it altogether, okay? I can't change my axis here, but I could change other things there, record count, if there were more options. I've also got the activity type. You could stack to 100%. Why you would do that? Not in this case, obviously we would not. Reference line would actually show my values, and I could say, well, let's just do, my goal is 8 activities a day, let's say, or 10. Well, did I make it? Did I miss it? And we'll just do that, okay? And then scroll down, legend position, where is it? On the bottom, or is it on the right? All these things I can do dynamically and show that. And then once I'm done, let's see, there it is, it changes it. You notice that there was really no OK button. It just changes it, right? And now that's what it should be, okay? So the question is, did I make that change permanently, right? So if I go back to my home page, and there's my report, it obviously didn't change there, but if I view a report now, it didn't change as well, right? But it doesn't, so it gives your users the ability to change things around. Now, if they like that format and they want to change it for good, obviously we'd have to edit the report. And then we can make these changes to the report here. I can do it. I can say I want stacked. We're going to do it that way. That was our stacked. Our reference line, we want to do a reference line at 10. And actually what we did was we did it stacked this way, stacked column, right, to show my total activities. And that's what it was. And I say, okay, right? And there it is. So now if I save this, now that report is set. Now, if I go to the home page, is it fixed? I think so, because it's taking a while. See, now it's changed. So by changing the default, the back end, like the hardcore, this is the report, this is the actual report that we're pulling from for this home page, we're actually going to change it here and anywhere else. If I say view report, you can see it's permanently changed. However, I still, as a user, have the ability just to say, you know what, I don't need that reference line, or I don't actually want to do it this way. I'd rather do it this way to kind of split it out and go from there. So there's a lot of different stuff that you can do, but what you're doing is just a temporary fix unless the system administrator would go in and actually do a formal change to the chart, okay? If I was in the old days, this is what we're talking about. The old days, you couldn't edit the charts yourself. Here, let's actually go back and check. I'll look. So we're going to go back to Classic. Okay, and now I'm in Classic Edition. And if I go to this report, for instance, or these activities, let's go to my report area. I don't know why I got paused all of a sudden. Sorry about that. So if I go here and I say closed activities, there it is, right? And there's my report, okay? Now, if I want to change this, I really can't. And the user can't do it at all. The only time someone could do it is if we customize the report. And then we've got it this way now, right? Notice no reference line or anything like that. And if I edit the chart, now do you see what we're getting? Like I could make this and say, I want to change it to this. And you see it in a preview, but it's not great. You're not really seeing what you want. If I go back to the Lightning Edition, like I said, see, sorry, I'm sorry, my screen paused again. All right, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back again to show you because it got messed up. I apologize. You know what? We're going to do this. I'm going to say show the screen. There we go. So we're going to make this bigger. We're going to go from there. Now we're seeing it. I'm just making sure. So if I do this and I go to my report area and I go to my closed activities, which is the one I just did, here's my chart. I cannot change the chart at all, right? The only way I can change is if I go to here in the customize. And by doing so, I can edit my chart as well. But besides this preview, I'm not really going to see what I need to see, right? If I want to do a bar chart this way, and I want to see it this way, say group by date, and I do a stacking, well, that's fine. That's what we needed. But you're not seeing it until I hit OK, right? The ability of the user in Lightning Edition is to look at this report and to go from here and be able to say, now it's very big because my screen got bigger, is to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to change it right now and play with it and see it and say, what does this look like? Does it look right? Is this what we want to be doing? And then the user can make those recommendations or those requirements or those changes based on this, or maybe just right now they want to change something around and say, you know what, it was a vacation week. Let's change it back to 5 was the reference line. Say, okay, we did hit it as a group. So that's what it is there, okay? All right, so moving right along, let's go ahead and jump to our next piece, which is rich text items in here. So what I've got is, oh, actually no, it's over here. I think I did it in my account page. Yes. Okay, so what we've did, one of the favorite things that I always liked inside of what I liked about Classic was I could do actually Sorry, I was being interrupted. I apologize. I enjoyed doing this part. Let's jump to Classic real quick, just so I can show you what I did. When I would look at a contact record or something like here's Jay, I actually had Classic links that I could do a LinkedIn page that would open up this, and you'd see a search for, this was me there, that's my LinkedIn. But we had other links like a button, like I could do a LinkedIn search that would do a little bit of a different window, and it would do a search for Jay, right? And that's the guy I know, okay? So I like that because it took his name, and this button was actually a dynamic button based on the way that we were doing things, okay? And so now when I'm in Lightning, I really can't do it. I tried, I looked it up, I looked up ways of doing it. I cannot do it. However, I will show you what we can do to get a record and to do at least a Google search. So what we did was we used to have these custom links on the left-hand side. They're kind of gone from the home page. You can add these in any record you want, but you will have to add it to each record you want to do. So for instance, if I want this Google search link to be on the contact form, I'm going to have to go, here's Jay's record. I'm going to have to go here, and I'm going to have to add it in personally, and it's not there, right? That other button that I used to have, now here it is. Let's see if it works still. Say open. And it did work. So those buttons that I created before, they are up here, but they're just buttons. Whereas, and I can't do a rich text link, but I will show you how we can at least put in links for your company page, maybe a static page, a Google search, the company intranet, et cetera, et cetera. So what I did here was for Elk, I've got this Google search. I click Google search, it's just a window. That's all it is. So the idea would be more so of, I want to do, Google search, the backend ERP system, a link to that to start out, the intranet page, maybe an alert, but it's actually just doing rich text. So we did this before. If I go to edit the page, let's see if I go here. I gotta shrink this a little bit. I'm losing my gear. Lost my gear icon because of the resize in the window. Just want to make sure you're still seeing what I'm seeing. So let me just do this. It's going to leave a blue area over here, but at least I'm not going to have pausing. So we've got this here. I'm going to go to my gear and I'm going to say edit this page. Okay, and now we're in the developer console, right? We're in the developer page, the designer. In here, you already know that we've done this, where I've said, here's my rich text. And what we did in an earlier tip from a couple months back was setting this component visibility. So this guy goes away if it's not Goldmine, right? What it does is if it's not Goldmine or it equals standard or equals corporate equals premium, then it will add this in and it will show it, right? But what I need to do is also add in a filter that once I fill it in, you don't have to show this anymore because I've already showed, I've already filled in the data I need. Anyway, in this case here, I've got this rich text, which is just a Google link, okay? And what I've got is, if it loads, I'm waiting for it to load. There it is. So you've got your bold, you can do whatever you want. This is an announcement, and people can do this all the time, right? You can just do this, you can make it bold, you can do what you want, you can raise the font, be extra large if you want, all these different things that you can do. What we've done in this case is we actually took the Google search link because there's a link button that allows you to do this. And so I've got Google there, okay? Let's do a new one. So I'm gonna go here and we're gonna say LinkedIn, let's get in here. Actually, for Google, this is an account page, so I wouldn't really do LinkedIn, but let's try it. So LinkedIn main page, something like that. Highlight it, and then I'm going to make it a link. And at that point, it says to you, what is it going to be? And I just say linkedin.com. Excuse me. And the link type is a URL, an anchor, an email address. You can do either one. Maybe an email would be a good one if you need a support ticket or a help desk ticket, something like that to start something out. And I do this and I say LinkedIn. Now the target tab is the new one as well. What do I want to do with it, right? What's nice is this underscore blank underscore top. Anyone that knows HTML knows that that's important to do in the href tag. But here it actually tells you, do you want to do it in the frame or what is it? I'm going to do a new window and I just say blank and say OK. Now when I click that, it will actually open up a new window. Okay, so if I save this out, okay, save that page, go from there, and I go back. Now I go to my account page that we're on, and now you can see there's two. If I click LinkedIn, now we've got a new window, and there it is. There's my main page, then I can see everything there. Like I said, a lot of times people will use this for intranet, your main HR page, or, maybe there's a file server location that you want people to pop open and start drilling down to, an FTP site, something like that. What this was before, and like I said, if I go back to Classic, I can show you what it is. What we're missing is custom links. And this is where it was a client of mine. I actually reference it in the tip, and it was Josh. I'm working with Josh a couple of months ago or a month ago, and he mentioned that this is what they had to do because they enjoyed the messages and alerts. They enjoyed the custom links. The difference is when I go to my accounts area, my custom links can also be in here, right? I go to contacts and I can have my custom links. Depends on what I want to show. But in my home page, I always had the custom links and they're kind of gone. So what they've done is they created this rich text series of hyperlinks that allows people to jump off and go from there. And that's what it was. Okay. Like I said, not dynamic to the guy's, the guy's name, the company name, the contact name. I can't do a LinkedIn search based off of the man or woman that the contact is set to. I can't do a company search, but that's where we still do have those buttons that are designed elsewhere. And that's the best way. I did my searching. I tried to find out, like if I go back to elk and I tried to do this, like what I did. I'm just waiting for this to load again. I tried, I looked at forums, I looked all over the place for a way to make the code dynamic. And what I mean by that is here, if I hit this link, I wanted to do this type of stuff, account.name. It does not work. The minute I hit this, it'll say, I don't know what that is, and it won't work. I mean, I can try it, but it's gonna error out and say, I don't know what that is. Right? So if I do this back to elk, I'm already there, and I click that Google search, say it doesn't know what that is because it just doesn't like it. Right, so that is something that, I'll change that later, fix that later. But in other words, yeah, you can't do it anymore. Okay, so going back, keep it moving. So moving on, just finishing up the third tip. What we're going to do is an email blast in Lightning Edition. If you've seen any of my other tips before, I've done a lot of these. I do a lot of email blasts, just personal check-ins. I mean, I'm not doing boilerplate, custom HTML, nothing like that. I'm just doing a check-in for people that I haven't touched in a long time. Maybe a prospect or a customer just checking in, want to make sure that their product is going well, along those lines. But when we did it in Lightning, we had it at the contact area. So what you would do is you go into, I'm sorry, not Lightning. When you were in Classic, if I went to the contact area, you'd scroll down and you'd see mass email. And then from there, I would choose who is it. There's my list of people. I could uncheck what I wanted to. I could hit go or I'd hit next. And then at that point, I'd choose my template and next, and then we'd mail it right out. Now, in this case, if you notice, because of the way the real estate's set up now, if I go to my contact views and I just look at email test, for instance, this is a view. I have nothing down below. There's no tools. There's no nothing that says I want to do an email blast. However, what they're doing is you do have the ability to do it from here where we didn't before. So there's an upside to this, right? In Classic, you could create a view, you'd be looking at the view, everything was great. And then you'd go to the mass email and you'd have to recreate that view in a separate area, not just the actual contact views that you're used to. It was like a separate email blast view is what it was. It was very odd, very different. So it was an extra step. Here, we can actually use an existing view that we like. For instance, I could go here and say, Birthdays this month. Obviously that didn't work. Here's a primary contact for follow-up, something like that. I have, if I scroll all the way down, you can see how many I've got. I've got more than 100, and I'll keep going and going until I get to the end. But at this point, I could do a list email. It's the drop arrow here that says send list email. Okay. Now I'm going to do it on my test view because it's only 2 people in there. My email test. It's actually, it's my personal and another email, and then I think sometimes my son's email in there. So I'll do it this way, just to walk us through the steps. So what I'll do is I will now do the same thing and say send list email, okay? And it will ask me, who do I want to send? So it even tells you how many people can I send to for the rest of the day, right? I have my review of who's it going to, okay? And I believe, let's go back, let's close this out. I want to do this instead. I want to do this, check the box. Let's do send list email, see if it gives me an option. 1 recipient, see? So what happens is if I review this, it's only going to Alex. If I don't check anyone and I do add to list email, no one's tagged, send list email, it's going to assume I'm sending to both, to all the people in there. So if you start checking, it's smart enough to know you're not going to be doing that, and away you go, right? You're only going to be doing the ones you check. Okay, so there's a couple things we have to go through on this because it's not as evident as it used to be as to what you were doing for the template, so on and so forth, right? And especially it depends on the resolution of your machine. So I've got these 2 users here, and I do the send list email, right? Now, in this email here, I can change it up, I can see it, I can actually click as to what is going on. The content's the main tab. Okay, now I could just say, right here, checking in, and I would say here and say, just checking in, want to make sure all is okay. That's great, that's fine. If you review it, obviously there's nothing different, okay? Right? There's nothing there. It's just it's just a matter of the recipient. Yes, so the recipients, I got rid of it because that's what it was, right? That's not the most important part though about any send email list. So we're going to start again, send list email, and instead we want to use a template. Now the bread and butter of all of these different pieces is honestly, it's these 3 icons down below. Okay, I can attach a file, perfect, right? I can insert a merge field, right? So if I click into there, do my merge field, and I say, you know what? I want contact, let's see where the nickname is. I just want first name. There it is. First name, which is obviously it tells you where it's coming from. So I say it's on the contact record, lead record, or the user. I say insert, and there it is. There's my recipient first name, and that's what it's going to look like. And then I can do my comma. They just wanted to check in, see how things are going with your, and then I go here, and I can actually go to, I might have the product in this one, I'm not sure, because I have account stat, there it is, account product, and I can insert that, right? Let me know if any questions. Okay, now let's review it. So I've got those codes, I go to review, look at Alex, that's what it looks like, your Gold Mine Premium. I go to me, it says going with your, there's a problem. See, Corey doesn't have a product, but it does do it here, right? If we go back to Alex, you can see how it filled this in, it filled this in, and away we go, right? So that's all fine. Now, the other option is this third button, which is the template. So if I want to, I can have this other template, right? Insert a template, right? And I can go here and find all of my templates. Okay, now, the thing is what I'm looking at here, what's a little bit odd, is that my templates, even though I've got these meetup, these are my recently used, I believe this has to do with, and it asked me, do I want to overwrite? I'm going to say yes. I think it has to do with adding new ones, like insert a template is, it's asking for my open public ones. I think there's my classics, see? You've got all templates, which are nothing there because I haven't created any lightning. And we've got the other one that says classic, and these are the ones that I wanted to do. So I could do this one right there and say insert. It overwrites everything, and there you go. Just wanted to do it there, review it, see what it's got, etc., etc. Right? So you can see that it's there. It's just when I was trying to do my first tip, I think I was doing it on a machine where the resolution was a little smaller. I couldn't even see this area down here, and that's important, right? This is where I think everything is. Now, the scary part is there's no next, next, next here. You just pretty much say send and away they go. So I've got 2 emails, Alex and Corey, right? Content's there. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to say send, and then boom, they're out. What I don't like is I don't have the ability to queue it, so it actually goes out later. Like I used to be able to say I want it to go out Wednesday at 10 a.m. I can't do that anymore, right? Because these are more really on-the-fly type emails, right? I'm going to look to see, that might be a tip for next month. How do I schedule emails? So that's fine. I'll make a note of that. Maybe there's another way of doing it. But the way that we do it now, and then the history, I could say, what am I going to save? Am I going to save part of it, just a subject line? Am I saving the whole thing, right? When I look at this, if I go to Corey's record and I look at the activity, there is welcome to the webinar, which is right here. This is the one I sent at noon today. And that is the email that I want. So you can see that it actually, and do you see the merge value? It never worked because it was a classic template, right? So we almost have to remake those templates again for the other ones, and then we could do a save as and change the fields around. But there's definitely a difference between the classic template and the lightning template. So keep that in mind as well. That's where the review comes in. It's nicer, it's quicker, but there's definitely some other things that we have to check when, as we all know, when we're transitioning from classic to lightning, all things don't change over. Those folks that are doing, started with lightning and you've been in lightning, this is all kind of a moot point. Don't worry about it. All right. But, again, got to be a little bit more careful when we're doing these. If you're using an old template in a new lightning edition email list or a list email, we have to be careful about the template being used, bottom line. So that was the 3 tips for today. I hope I didn't stutter, didn't go all over the place too much. I know there's a couple interruptions here and there. My apologies for that. And away we go. So enjoy the rest of the day. Like I said, every month, marksgroup.net, we have our monthly tips and tricks. I will, in the next 2-3 days, be posting up July's tips, which then we'll be going over those. All 3 live in a webinar at the end of July. Last Tuesday of the month is what we always do. Same time, okay? If you're watching this afterwards, hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you at the next one live, or you can keep watching the videos on YouTube. That's why we put them up there. All right. Thank you, folks. Have a nice one. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.